Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Human Echoes podcast.
I'm Albert Berg.
I'm Tony Southcott.
Coming to you with our review of Dude Bro Party Massacre 3. Not those other two.
Somewhere out in the ether, there's actually not a 1 or a 2. It's just, 80s parody style.
Because this is that kind of movie. If you thought that Kung Fury was too much, I've got bad news for you. This is basically that, but without the dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's basically just a horror version of Kung Fury. It's not like Kung Fu exploitation.
Very much so. Yeah, that's a good analogy there. Like, Kung Fury was sort of the over-the-top cop Kung Fu movie. This is like sort of a parody of all the Jason and Freddy films from back in the day when they just like threw a bunch of violence at the screen and didn't care much about the story.
Yeah, it was just a straight-up slasher flick.
And yet,
you had some character development, but nothing from the villain. The villain was just there seeking revenge.
I gotta say, I went into this movie and I was a little bit turned off at first, Tony. I'm watching it, I'm like, this is kind of dumb. I don't know, because I'm a little bit, I have standards, Tony. I'm very highbrow. I watch art films from time to time, and I just like.
Oh, you've got like the warped standards of having like highbrow, then absolutely being in love with the asylum.
I don't know about in love with. We're friends with benefits. But I got into I started to, I wanted to be like, no, this is not for me. I am above this type of humor. But they kept throwing so many jokes at the screen that I just couldn't help but be laughing at, like, something. About every minute, something would come up, and I'd be like, ha! That's funny! And then, like, 3 other jokes would just, like, bomb past me. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. But then, like, it just was relentless.
Well, it almost felt like, with some of that, they definitely were putting a high volume of the jokes in. But it's from the people who did 5-second films, so for them to go from like 5-second little miniature movies to this, that's a big transition. So you can kind of see where it worked and where it didn't.
Well, I think that was really telling too, because you really got that sort of. I mean, you could watch any single 5 seconds of this movie and get like some level of humor. Like they hone their craft, packing humor into tiny, tiny little bits. And now that they have a whole movie to do it with, they're still packing that humor in, but they can play it out over longer periods of time. So you have jokes that'll come back around and, gags that'll play out for longer, but it's still just this, again, relentless onslaught of them trying something funny. It may not connect with you, but keep watching and eventually something will.
Yep.
I think I laughed harder at this movie than I have laughed at any movie this year so far.
I didn't quite have that, but I was definitely entertained. Like, it wasn't, to me, it only had a few parts that were full-on laugh-out-loud funny. Pretty much anything involving the Asian kid, like, I just felt bad for him, but I also was laughing at him. I don't know. There are a lot of good moments, but I'm trying to think if it's the best comedy of the year as well as, like, just being the parody and everything else.
Well,
it's definitely a good effort.
I don't know if it's the best comedy of the year, Tony. I'm just saying I laughed harder at it than any other comedy that's come out so far this year. And I'm not...
For sure.
Now, to clarify that, I'm not a huge comedy guy. I like to laugh, but I don't go and, like, seek out, I will watch a comedy film now. For some reason, I don't do that. But watching this, like, I thought it was hilarious. I almost had that same reaction that I had to my first viewing of Napoleon Dynamite, to where, like, I was halfway, what the heck is this? And halfway, oh my goodness, this is hilarious. How is this hilarious? What? This is stupid. I'm laughing so hard.
They definitely captured that. I loved some of the casting, too. I know most of those guys had been on 5-second film, but it was awesome seeing Greg Sestero, like the Mark from The Room in this.
Was he in there? I didn't...
Yeah, he was like, he was the nice dude bro, the one that like introduced him at the house and was trying to get him to pledge.
Oh, okay.
The one that got his face pushed into a light socket with a hoe.
He's afraid of tools, Tony.
Yeah, he's afraid of tools. His dad was a handyman, and now he's afraid of being a handyman.
He goes out to the shed, and it has the word shed painted on it.
One of the things I couldn't understand is, like, what was up with his, his flashbacks where it's just some, like, French mime spitting in his face?
There was nothing to it. It's just... It was all stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, again, not stupid in the sense that nobody thought about it, but that was supposed to be just one of those, like, out-of-nowhere moments, like, what the heck was that? And then they move on. And you either laugh at it or you don't. Some of my favorite moments, I really liked when they're, like, nailing the boards up on the windows, but they don't have any nails.
Yeah.
They're just miming, like, hitting the board with a hammer. I don't know why. And that whole conversation about the surprise birthday party, where they go into the guy's like, you're gonna lie to me. You're a lying person. And he, like, goes through, he's like, I will never lie. And the guy's like, but what about? And he, like, spins out this whole hypothetical, like, surprise birthday situation. Like, with all these details, he's like, I would never throw you a surprise birthday party. I promise. On my word. He's like, but I love surprise birthday parties. like the whole thing just kept switching back and forth so fast.
That guy was Turbo. He was a very, very complex character. He had some issues.
Everybody had issues in this movie. Like, all of the bros had their fear, right? Like, the thing that they're afraid of. One guy's afraid of fears. One guy's afraid of tools. They go through in that scene at the end where they're, like, talking about, they're listing all the tools, and then the one guy's on the high wire coming through, and he's like, and so-and-so's, fear of heights, and, like, they just, like, do a break the fourth wall moment. It was like, wait a minute, we never established he was afraid of heights. And they're just like, this whole thing's a mess anyway, just roll with it. There was so many
Those two guys that are never named and just in the background.
Yeah, and they're like, you're turtleneck bro, and you're flannel bro. And he's like, lucky guess, only because we're named after our shirts. I just had so much fun with this movie, and it's not for everyone. My wife did not enjoy watching this movie. She did not get into it, and it took me a while to get into it. I think if you're a little bit trepidatious, or you're like me and you think you're too good for this, I would say give it like 30 minutes. Just try to sit through it for 30 minutes, and I think something will hit for you. Patton Oswalt in a robe on the phone as the police chief, like, I think that was the moment where I was like, all right, this might be something worth digging into. And the whole bag of oranges. I knew that was going to come around, Tony. I knew it was going to come around. When he says they're bags of oranges, I was like, something's going to happen at the end where it turns out they actually were bags of oranges, and I didn't expect it to play out the way it played out. That was...
So if you lose your virginity to a bag of oranges, does it count?
It was so silly.
some of that stuff was going too far for me to fully resonate.
Sorry, go ahead.
But it was still hilarious. Like, I think it was mostly just how Patton Oswalt sold it, though. Like, he just brings the guy in, he's like, watch this, and just tells him about, like, the orange crisis that they're having.
I love that their whole character arc never, like, intersects at all with the Dubras. They're just off doing their own thing, and his whole thing with, like, his lists of 10 things he wants trying to get on Letterman, and his relationship with her, and his whole, like, his psyche that you see into as he's afraid of, like, public speaking and whatnot. The joke about the bang bus. Like,
they spent a lot of time on the bang bus.
That was so, like, he sets up this joke, where he says, like, I read this book and my mind just went bang, and I just want to do that for kids. I just want to bang kids, And I was like, all right, the easy, like, dumb pedophilia joke, okay, whatever. But they just, like, kept coming back to it so many times, and eventually I just warmed up to it. I was like, yeah, I want to get kids on my bang bus. Let's bang kids together. We can get together and bang kids.
I love his introduction as a character, too. He's just, like, in the police station doing lines of coke. I can't remember the line, but I know he stands up and he's just, like, flexing and yelling something about, like, I don't know. He said something absolutely absurd, which is totally not in line with what that character actually is. I don't know. He bothered me, but he was also one of the funniest parts at the same time.
I thought it was interesting, too. This movie isn't just, like, while it does have a laugh a minute, and it is, quote-unquote, stupid, I thought it was actually delving into some interesting thematic areas, sort of like deconstructing the whole bro culture, you know, like, showing how destructive that is, and, like, kind of making fun of the whole bro sexuality thing, where there's like, why are these people, you know, like, just tearing all the aspects of, like, ultra maleness apart and looking at them in all their little pieces while they're still throwing 1,000 jokes at you a minute. Like, you can totally not get into that part of the movie if you don't want to, but I thought that, like, to me, when you make a movie like this, and then you also have something that runs underneath it and says, oh, hey, we kind of have something to say about how destructive it is to be like, oh, man! You know, sometimes.
Our breaks are pretty wild, brah.
And like, the whole thing where they, like, you know, they crashed the airplane into the orphanage and then, you know, like, had flooded that whole town.
Yeah, they killed like 4,000 people in their sophomore year. No, that was a different year. The sophomore year was whenever they went and deposed a dictator in Central America.
But it was a prank, Tony, so it's okay.
Yeah. So, it's totally okay with their, like, metal hot air balloon.
So I thought that was really neat that they tied something else into it, that they brought in, like, an extra level of, you know, sort of, hey, you can think about this movie too. In addition to thinking that it's stupid, you can actually have fun with what they're actually saying. Did you feel like that, or did I?
Oh yeah, I definitely did. Like, I just the stuff that they were having people say about the pranks, the guy that was, like, crying at the paddle boat store, like, all of that. Like, it definitely worked for me.
That went on for so long?
The single funniest scene for me in this entire movie, though, was in the attic. Whenever, like, he finds the long-haired guy up there.
Oh, yeah?
It's like, it's time to dance.
But my clues!
My investigations.
Oh, that's right, my investigation. We rented this, Tony. We rented this to watch, because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. I am sad that I rented this, because I want to watch this again and again and again. I'm going to have to go out and buy a copy for myself. Like, maybe I'll wait till it comes out on DVD and there's commentary and stuff, although I think you can actually buy the digital version with commentary, which is neat.
I think you can actually buy the VHS, even.
Oh, I don't have a VHS player.
I know, I'm just saying they have the option.
As a, like, something to have on the back of our shelf if our cameras weren't crap and you could actually see that stuff.
Yeah.
But it is neat that they've released that. And by the way, I don't know why the streaming service they uploaded on has an HD option. It's not widescreen. It's not HD. It is, like, the conceit of the movie, and it's really great because it was recorded off of TV by some teenager, and all the other copies were destroyed, and so you're watching this crappy VHS, like, lines going down the screen, you know, and occasionally they'll, like, cut in some, like, snippets from commercials.
Yeah, like back in the day, whenever you actually had to time your recordings and try to cut the commercials, but you always caught little bits of them.
Yes, and all those little bits were just great.
Yeah, that's where you definitely saw, like, the 5-second influence, because all of those were just a few seconds of awesome.
The commercials were perfect. Like, some of those were just like, blip, and like, somebody says, like, one word, but you're like, you just get a glimpse of a whole, like, thing that they're doing.
Like, oh no, I lost my keys, and then it shows the car falling down the cliff, and then it's, like, just back to the movie.
So
I feel like we should email them and be like, hey, we sent you a review. How about you guys hook up a DVD?
Well, we already watched it. They don't need us anymore, Tony.
I know, it's true.
Used us. It's excuse.
I just want to see the behind-the-scenes stuff that comes with the DVD.
We'll pay for it then, Tony. Dang it. And you guys, by the way, you out there, if this sounds... Now, again, maybe not for everybody, but if it sounds a little bit like you might like it, I highly recommend you check out Dude Bro Party Massacre 3. I had a lot of fun with it. There, again, some jokes that didn't hit for me, but the ones that did, and it's one of those things, there's so much going on that you can there's rewatchability there too, which is why I want to watch it again, because there's some jokes that I don't even think I got. I don't even think I noticed that there was a joke, or there's stuff going on in the background or whatever. This is a movie you can watch 3, 4, 5 times, find new stuff to laugh at, laugh harder at the old stuff because you've seen it and you know it's coming. Solid piece of retro throwback filmmaking, and I was afraid I was going to get sick of this type of movie, Tony.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that, okay, Kung Fury, yeah, that's neat, but it's only half an hour. You're going to make a whole hour of this, but they kept it fresh the whole way through for me. They didn't keep it with just a parody. They went off and did their own thing. It made it something with their stamp on it, and I thought that just elevated it and made it something that was really special.
Yeah, and they definitely nailed what they were trying to do, like every aspect of the movie. I was worried it was going to start to feel long, but by the time it was actually over, it didn't. And also, I really actually dug the website and the way it streamed. Like, it didn't require you to create some new login. You just put in your credit card info, paid the $5, and watched it.
Yeah.
Like, it was very convenient
for not
being a Netflix
I have my
thing.
streaming services that I like to use, and right now this is available on a specific direct-to-video site that sort of facilitates indie filmmakers. It's called VHX, I believe. You just go to Massacre3.com, I think, and you can. There'll be a link there. But I was a little bit disappointed that I couldn't just go and watch it on Vudu or Amazon or someplace like that. I imagine it'll get to those places fairly quickly, but it's worth a look wherever you get it and wherever you pay for it. And the cool thing about that particular service is that they actually do offer those special features, so that you can get them that way. I imagine there'll be a DVD pretty soon. I hope it. I wonder if there'll be a Blu-ray, Tony. An immaculate high definition transfer of all those VHS lines. We can only hope.
Definitely.
Anyway, so that was our review of Dubro Party Massacre 3. Thanks for watching, guys. This is a 0.5 episode of the Human Echoes podcast. We'll be back with a regular episode next week covering Teeth, which is on Netflix. And if you like this video, like and subscribe, and check us out.
Now I'm kind of wondering what would happen with these guys in that story.
Have you started watching that movie yet, Tony?
What's that?
Have you started watching that movie yet?
Not yet.
That's a completely different kind of movie. We'll talk about that next week.
All right. You guys, go check out humanechoes.com. Find more content. Subscribe. All that good stuff. Have a good day.
Bye.